आइए हम सुने विज्ञान की अनकही कहानियाँ। आइए हम सुने विज्ञान की अनसुनी कहानियाँ। एक नई दुनिया की आवाज़, विज्ञान की आवाज़, की आवाज़।
A big hello to all our listeners. Welcome to an enriching podcast series, Vigyan Ki Awaaz. This podcast series focuses on STEM popularization, science, technology, engineering, mathematics and medicine. An initiative to promote STEM, science, technology, engineering, medicine and mathematics. Taking ahead the journey, we are bringing to you yet another enriching conversation with another eminent guest in the field of science and technology. Okay, dear listeners, welcome to Vigyan Ki Awaaz, a podcast series which aims to popularize STEM, science, technology, engineering, medicine and mathematics. In this series, we are talking to a very eminent personality from the field of science today. Sir, heartiest welcome to Vigyan Ki Awaaz. And for the listeners, we request you to tell us a little about yourself.
Thank you for welcoming me here. सबसे पहले आपको और आपके सभी श्रोताओं को मेरा नमस्कार. I am Dr. Amarjeet Singh. I am a senior scientist at the National Institute of Plant Genome Research. So it's basically Institute of Department of Biotechnology. Recently, it has come under one umbrella organization called BRIC, Biotech Research Innovation Council. So this is one of the premier research institute on the plant sciences, located in the area of JNU campus. So I am working in this institute since year 2017. So it's been more than 8 years now for me.
Oh, wonderful.
Here.
So tell us your journey with INSA. I mean, what is your current role with INSA and how did the journey happen?
So in INSA, I was elected as a INSA Associate Fellow in the year 2023. So there, INSA invite applications for scientists throughout the country, and they have different scientific committees there, which include different areas like chemistry, mathematics, computer sciences, physics, and biological sciences, agricultural sciences, molecular biology. So there I submitted my application. It is through nomination. So I submitted my application, and through scrutiny and through several rounds of screening, they selected only few candidates from all the different fields of the sciences. So I was elected as one of the INSA Associate Fellow in that. It's a competitive, highly competitive application. So yeah, in 2023, which was the very first edition of this INSA Associate Fellowship, I was selected in that.
Wonderful. So heartiest congratulations for that. I think this kind of memory always gives us a pat on the back and to move ahead with a lot of pride in our heart. So currently, what is the area where you are working in?
So we are working in the area of plant molecular biology or plant genomics. We are working in the area of stress biology, where we try to understand the signaling networks and the signaling pathways which are underlying the plant response to abiotic stresses and plant nutrient deficiencies. So molecular signaling, basically signaling pathway, is a kind of adaptive response for the plant, because plants, they are the sessile in nature. I mean, they cannot move away as like animals. So whenever they face any kind of adverse environmental conditions like stresses in form of, say, for heat, drought or high salinity environment, or the deficiency of the nutrients, so since they cannot move away, they have to survive in these adverse growth conditions. So they have devised this adaptive mechanism, that is called a signal transduction, triggering of a signal transduction. and when they trigger this signal transduction, so several molecules, several components, they participate, and then they sense this stimuli. The stress act as a stimuli, and then there's some receptors are there at the surface of the plant cell membrane, and then after sensing this stress signal, they transduce the signal downstream, and then there are several molecular players which perceive this signal, and then they bring about their own responses. They interact with each other, they regulate the expression of some other genes, such as for example there are transcription factors which get activated and then regulate the expression of several downstream genes, which ultimately bring about several molecular and physiological changes in plant, and which ultimately help the plant to adapt to these adverse growth conditions, and it comes in the form of tolerance to this adverse growth condition or the environmental stresses. And then plant can survive in the stress condition. At the same time, their productivity will be enhanced. So our major area of work is to understand these molecules and these players which participate in these signaling pathways, and then we completely try to delineate this entire signaling pathway as how and what kind of signaling pathways are triggered by these stresses, and how they are bringing about this adaptive response which helping the plant to grow happily in those stressful conditions.
It is quite interesting to know it from you. Tell us, how is it contributing to the growth of the country?
Well, we majorly work in two crop system, like rice and chickpea. So both the crops are very, very crucial from the Indian perspective, as India is Indian economy is majorly driven by agriculture. Agriculture contribute a major part in Indian economy, so that's why, and especially the crops like rice, which is a staple crop for the Indian population, and also chickpea. So rice is the India is the second largest producer of rice, right? And similarly, India is the largest producer of chickpea also in the world. So as I said in my introduction, these because of the adverse growth condition in our country, like many of our states every year faces a condition like drought. There is water limitations, drought, and so much as the environment is changing, the global warming is a major problem. And in such scenario, the conditions like high temperatures and then water limitation causes drought-like conditions in many states of the country, which are majorly growing important crop like rice. So when these soil or the agricultural lands in these states, they are facing the water limitations, it makes very, very difficult for the crop to grow, or the resources are limited for the rice growth. And since rice is a very important crop for Indian population, we have to do something for it.
Yes.
Right. So in that sense, India has done well in last decade or so, because the productivity of rice has increased tremendously in last few years. Similarly, chickpea also, the productivity has been almost doubled in last decade or so. So India is doing well in that sense. Our scientists are doing wonderful job. They have found out several. They have generated some important varieties of rice and chickpea also, which can grow and sustain well in these stressful conditions, and even in low water supply or low nutrient input also, they can give you a very high yield and productivity. So in that sense, India is doing very good, but still there is a scope of improvement, especially in the crops like legumes, pulses, and the oil crops. So for those kind of crop, India is still importing from other countries. So if in coming few years, as I said, several scientists and several group of scientific community are working in this direction, and I am sure in the coming few years India will be self-sustained in these areas also. So we are going good. Actually, India is going good in this direction, and soon we will be self-sustained in terms of the availability of these cereal grains, and also in the form pulses also.
Wonderful. I think sabka prayas, sabka vikas, desh ka vikas. I think that's where we are heading to. And why don't you tell us where does India rank when we talk about this particular area?
India, in terms of growing rice, India is the second largest producer after China.
Okay.
Right? And in chickpea, India is the largest producer. Chickpea is a very important crop for the Indian subcontinent, and India contributes about 75% of the world's total production of chickpea. And especially most of our, majority of our vegetarian population in the country is largely dependent on the plant-based, proteins for their nutrition.
This is one such interaction where we are trying to bring out how many scientists, how many science passionates are contributing to the country and keeping the flag held high with the colors of science. The flag of the country is really being colorful when we add colors of passion, when we add colors of science passion to this. This is one such example. We take a short break here, and until and after we meet with you in the next episode, please take care of yourself and stay glued to Vigyan Ki Awaaz. Thank you so much. Dear listeners, we take a break at this enriching conversation, catch more insightful discussions about science and the world of science. In the next episode, we shall bring to you more interesting discussions, his colorful contributions in the field of science and his passion for the field. Vigyan Ki Awaaz, a podcast series to popularize STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics and medicine.
आइए हम सुने विज्ञान की अनकही कहानियाँ। आइए हम सुने विज्ञान की अनसुनी कहानियाँ। एक नई दुनिया की आवाज़